So are England fans deluded? Is the Welsh tour to Australia just going to be a tour of two poor teams? And are South Africa the most talented nation in the world with their most talented squad ever? This is a video devoted to your comments, some of the themes from your comments, because they're so good and I'm just privileged to read them all. I make sure I approve the comments just so no abuse slips through, because I want it to be a great place to discuss rugby. And as the channel nears 30,000 subs, it's just amazing. I'm blown away by your support. Doing this in my spare time, covering as much rugby as I possibly can. I absolutely love your interaction. So let's get into it. Let's summarise some of these comments down below and let me know if you still agree or you're one of those that disagree with these. So I'm going to try and generalise a bit here. So let's start with the comments from the South African fans. And goodness me, South African fans are amazing. They're so passionate. They're always quick to educate me, as I need doing in many areas of South African rugby, particularly pronunciation, which is brilliant. You send me the phonetics. It gets confusing when 2 or 3 people send me slightly different phonetics, but I'll always give it a go. But you're confident. They are always confident in South Africa and they're excited for Ireland to come to town. They know they're a good team, but they also know they've got a lot of talent there and they've got full trust in Rassie Erasmus and they think he's got a plan, and I'm sure he does. Whatever he goes with selection, I'm sure he's trying to build that squad depth, try and get 1 or 2 steps ahead of everyone, and they've got the talent to do it. So there's a lot of excitement, particularly around the sexy subject of scrummaging. And goodness me, their scrummaging prowess looks like it's just going to get better and better. We've got loads of experienced props in there. Just talking about the props for now. Oxenche, I can't tell you how good he is at the moment. You've still got, the war horses, Malherbe, Vincent Koch, and then you've got Steenkamp coming in, Thomas du Toit as well. It's just phenomenal. The back row might be where some questions are coming up. Pieter-Steph du Toit obviously has his spot locked down on the blind side. The open side, number 8, they're a bit more interesting at the moment, and definitely talk about that Siya will be straight back in that team. Erasmus trusts him, and I'm sure there's a good reason for that. Quagga Smith, should he go back onto the bench? We've got number 8 that's open because Visa is banned. Hanekom got that terrible injury, or that really annoying injury for him in the URC final. So it's all on Evan Roos. He's a good player. Is he the next big player at number 8? I'm still not so sure. So a big series for him. That's been in the comments. But the big thing that's been buzzing in the comments about South Africa is the emergence of the 22-year-old Sasha Feinberg Ongomazulu. I've tried to pronounce that correctly, but the Stormers, they've done an amazing deal to get him till 2027, and let's just say he plays for the Springboks, he plays in the World Cup, they win a 3rd World Cup on the bounce, and then if the Stormers want to sell him for a massive price, he goes and gets him a big wedge, who knows, or they keep hold of him. But he is very exciting, and Springbok fans like him at 10. Rassie Erasmus likes him at 10, although the Stormers haven't. So interesting to see where he goes. Is he going to be in that squad? Maybe in that number 23 slot. I think you've just got to play that talent, and he's the one that's getting people excited. So now let's talk about some of the comments from the Irish fans. And again, I'm sorry I'm generalising here, so please let me know if you don't align with this view. But my feeling is that the Irish fans are looking forward to this series in South Africa, but they're a little bit subdued. The loss of their first choice backs, we've got Gibson Park, who's injured, Hugo Keenan, who's with the Sevens. That's just left the fans maybe a little bit flat. And then, of course, the poor end to Leinster's URC campaign, the Champions Cup final loss, has just left it a little bit flat. But is that a good thing maybe? Because when Ireland have been talked up as the favourites, they haven't done maybe quite as well as when they're underdogs. So in South Africa, they are still underdogs, but they're also a very settled team with a lot of their best players there, of course. Up front, are they going to struggle? Well, yes, I think they probably will a bit. But how much can that attack get going? Can they break the Springboks defensive line and score those all-important tries, which they're going to need? We've got Mike Catt there still, but with Andrew Goodman as the attack coach, and he's going to take over kind of full-time when Mike Catt leaves after this tour. So you've got both of them there. So there should be enough attacking brains there to try and unpick South Africa at least. Can they do it? That is going to be the key for me for Ireland winning or losing this series. It's probably fair to say there's also not a lot of chat around an emerging new superstar maybe from Ireland that might really burst onto the scene on this tour. It's more like established players getting back to their best. Players like Dan Sheehan, Josh van der Fleer, just rediscovering their best form. So Irish fans are looking forward to it, but just a little bit subdued, and maybe that's not a bad thing. So let's go on to comments from England fans and about England fans, because there's always a few of those. No doubt that match against Japan was pretty decent. Their attack looks razor sharp. Marcus Smith looks really good in attack. But the comments definitely remind us that Japan are not New Zealand. This isn't a great Japan at the moment anyway. They're new under Eddie Jones, and New Zealand is going to be so much harder, and it's going to be harder by a couple of orders of magnitude, I am pretty sure. And fans, they don't really expect too many changes in the team to the one that faced Japan. Neither do I, so that's why I haven't done an England selection, because I don't think there's an awful lot to discuss. I think it's going to be pretty much the same team. And sure, stability is a good thing, but can they front up? That is one thing. Comments say massive worries around that front row. And of course, I agree. I've been going on about it. The propping stocks are very low. That Japan game was a chance to see Baxter play, but he didn't. He's very young and props mature quite late, so okay, but a lot of trust has been put in Rod. The old guys, Marler, Cole, and then Stewart and Hayes, are they actually good enough? I don't know. Other comments about Ollie Lawrence. Yes, he carried the ball fairly well against Japan, but his all-round game, is it good enough for international centre? Well, he's the best we've got at the moment, but it is a good question. And still no massive faith in Steve Borthwick, but these two games could change that or solidify their opinions. On to comments from New Zealand fans, and the Kiwis, they're good to me. They know I'm not a Kiwi, but I'm trying to stay up to date with their rugby as much as possible, picking teams because it's fun. And the Scott Robertson approach, what's it going to be like? The comments are saying, well, watch out, he may well go for the big boys, that kind of Crusaders approach that he went for, not just chucking the ball around all over the place, it's winning it up front, grafting hard, and then playing off that, which is, a fairly good format, of course, and it worked with him at the Crusaders. So I was saying maybe there's going to be Vai in the second row, there's going to be Finau, Papali'i, Ardi Surveyor in the back row, and comments were saying, well, hang on here, maybe Robertson's going to go for the big boys, maybe he's going to start Patrick Tuipulotu in the second row, the likes of Blackadder, Jacobson in the back row, get the beef in there first, sacrifice a bit of speed and agility, but win that up front battle. So that's the general view, I think, from New Zealand fans. Let me know if you agree or not. Then on to the Australia and Wales tour. General trend is not a huge amount of excitement about these two teams, kind of at the lowest they've ever been, but definitely a lot to prove for both sides. Plenty saying that Joe Schmidt knows what he's doing, calls back a bit of experience. I don't know a lot about some of these untested players in that Australia side, so I haven't made too many comments on them. I'm just going to watch and say what I see. Wales, though, they are on a low ebb, and I haven't seen too many positive comments about Warren Gatland, about his decisions. He's only taking one fly half again. They could have taken Lloyd or even Jared Evans from Harlequins, and that seems a little bit of a mistake. A bit of desperation, maybe calling back Liam Williams and Corey Hill. And it just shows that things aren't healthy, and if it goes well, maybe people will get back on board with Gatland, but most of the comments are saying it wasn't a good call to have him back. But Australia could turn out to be pretty average as well, so this is a winnable tour for Wales. I did say there is a decent team in there, but they're going to need that younger generation to step up. The likes of Mason Grady, Daffyd Jenkins, Chris Schwinzer, they're going to have a stormer, which they could. Dewey Lake's looking really good. So it's an interesting tour. I think anybody could take it. Australia are going to be favourites at home, but are they going to be any better than the World Cup? I don't think there's any evidence yet from the domestic season. They're very much second best to those New Zealand sides in Super Rugby. Sure, the Brumbies did okay, but they're definitely down in that middle bottom tier of teams. So those are the general comments. Thank you so much for all the comments as we creep up to 30,000. We're a slowly catchy monkey sort of channel here as we grow slowly and steadily as people get on board. If you're not subscribed, it would be amazing if you did. If you haven't commented before, well, get involved. It is great fun. Like the video if you want to as well. Just thank you so much once again. And we are getting into test week. Teams will be out, and then we get into those matches at the weekend. Until then, I'll see you next time.